Hi, this is John Craig with Performance Plus Tennis, and in today's lesson I'm going to give you 3 tips that are going to help you improve your forehand right away. And one of these tips is going to dissolve a myth about the forehand that's really going to make a big difference in your performance. Tip number 1 is all about grip tension and how your hand feels on the racket. And what I find amongst club players is that the majority of club players have too much tension, and that causes a lack of fluidity, oftentimes tennis elbow, and just makes the forehand unprofessional and doesn't perform well. So what we want to do is get the right grip tension that'll allow you to generate easy racket head speed, spin, power. That's all effortless. So how do we find the appropriate grip tension? Well, there's a universal way to find that grip tension, and what I want you to be able to do is feel the weight of your racket head. So when you're entering into your swing, you should be able to feel the weight of the racket head. If you grip too tight, the racket head disappears. This introduces unnecessary tension, restrictive tension that's not going to allow you to be fluid. So we want to make sure we have a nice soft hand on the racket so we can feel the weight of the racket head. Well, of course, we don't want the racket head or the racket to be dangling in our hand. We need to be holding it, but it needs to be soft enough so we can feel it. Another key element too is to make sure that your hand is at the bottom of the handle. So we want to make our hand relatively small feeling, not disperse it wide on the handle, but make it small and get it near the bottom. And that makes it easy to feel the weight of the racket head. Now, how do we do that when we're playing? Well, I'm a big advocate of having the non-dominant hand involved in everything you do in your game. So when I'm in my ready position, my non-dominant hand is holding the racket, so I can control my grip tension when I'm waiting to play a shot. So when I go to play a shot and I let go of the racket, I don't introduce more grip tension. I've already established the tension to feel the weight of the racket head in the ready position. And you want to try to do that on every shot you play in the game, not just your forehand. But this is big, because this is going to allow you to relax and let that natural lag occur in your racket, and then it's going to allow that racket to be fluid as it comes through contact and generate easy power. Tip number 2 is all about the swing path we want to take to produce a topspin forehand. And for many of us, we've been told hundreds and hundreds of times, swing low to high, low to high. And what I see often at the club level are players that are so intent on swinging low to high that they're not actually able to drive the ball and really produce a good topspin driving forehand. So what is really moving low to high on a topspin forehand? Is it the hand or is it the racket head? Well, it really is the racket head. So if you have the soft hand we talked about in tip number 1, and you come back here and you soften, the racket will get below the hand, and then as you come up to play the ball, it will rise up and join the hand. So the racket is moving much more low to high than the hand is. So when I play just a regular topspin forehand, I'm going to go through the ball more than I'm going to go up the ball. And one of the other things that we see often at the club level is players are so intent on going low to high that they actually get their hand and the racket head below the ball and then try to come up. And we see this very awkward movement. So we want to replace this hand below contact and coming up with letting the racket head soften and get below contact and then rise up and join the hand, and then it goes above the hand. So we want a low to high movement, but we really don't want to feel like we're swinging with our arm low to high. We want to feel like it goes more forward. So what is it that makes the racket move from low to high? And that is the internal rotation of the shoulder. It's called long axis rotation. So there's not a lot of action in the wrist, there's not a lot of action in the elbow, but there is a lot of action in the shoulder. And that's what produces what we commonly call the windshield wiper motion. But it really is a movement that's predominantly from the shoulder, and that's going to help you get power and control together. And here is an example of what the forehand would look like if I got both the racket head and the hand lower than the contact point and had to lift the whole arm as a unit up to get to contact. So you can see that's pretty mechanical, and you're really not going to be able to produce much drive on it. So that's really not what we're trying to do. We want to make sure that we have a nice soft hand and let the racket head play below the ball rather than the hand and the whole system to come up to contact. So from this angle, you're going to see me produce various levels of topspin, and you're also going to be able to see the swing path that I actually take with my hand versus the racket head itself. So for a regular conventional drive, and if I want to increase the spin, let's watch the path. And you can see that the racket is just dropping further below and rising up to catch the ball. And there's a beautiful rally ball. The third tip to gain power and control on the forehand is to be intent on driving through the ball and having good extension beyond contact. And in modern tennis, we see the players, the rackets move so quickly, and we see a lot of different finishes in different places. But what we've really got to recognize and realize is that for most forehands, we're going to see in slow motion a comfortable and natural extension where the big movement, the big power is going to come through the shoulder as you play out through contact and get extension before we do the wrapping phase of the shot. So there are going to be occasions where maybe you bring it in and just roll it over, but you're still going to deliver power through the shoulder and rotation through the shoulder before you do that. But for most shots that you're trying to hit with a lot of depth, you're going to extend out through before you let the elbow relax and finish your shot. Very, very important that you work on getting good extension even on your topspin forehand. So you might be wondering, how am I going to practice this extension in my forehand? And the answer is really quite simple. I want you to hold the finish at the extension point. So when you're practicing, let's not complete the follow through. Let's just go to right out here where we extend. So we're going to play and extend. And oftentimes I ask my students if the ball is going to go over or not when they just extend and don't finish. And oftentimes I get the answer that says, no, it won't go over. But the reality is that once you get to the extension, the ball's already gone. And the great thing this teaches you is how to generate power and control through the shoulder. And it also teaches you where to accelerate through contact to get the ball to travel. So I'm going to play a couple balls here and just going to extend out through them. And just really emphasize the extension. And then I'm going to just finish, let the racket just float around and get my natural finish in there. So when you get out and practice with your practice partner, just emphasize this part of the swing first and then let the racket just float back to the finish and then carry on. But the part where the racket comes back isn't helping the ball. The ball's already gone. So the extension drill will really help you learn how to drive through the ball, and you can generate plenty of topspin and still extend out through the ball. And as a bonus tip, we're going to work on what's called the windshield wiper forehand and dissolve some of the myths about the windshield wiper forehand and how to use the windshield wiper concept to play your best forehands and create a lot of variety. So if you're able to have a nice soft hand, let the racket drop below the hand and come up to the ball, the swing will start to have this illusion of being a topspin swing pattern. And so from the front view, it'll look like it's dropping and coming above. And where players get confused on this is they try to make this action occur through the elbow or through the wrist. So there's a lot of activity in the wrist and in the elbow. But the truth is that this movement actually comes from the shoulder. So there's a long axis rotation that allows this to happen, and the power comes through the shoulder. So when you go to play a windshield wiper forehand, you don't want to feel like you really have a lot of activity in the wrist or the hand, independent of the arm, and you certainly don't want to be doing this from the elbow. Drop and turn over. So the concept is the same. Regardless of the type of forehand you're playing, whether you're driving the ball, hitting various levels of topspin, or even playing the windshield wiper forehand, the power and control of that movement is going to be best delivered through the shoulder. And that's the action and the feeling you want to have when you play your modern forehand. Thank you for watching today's video. I hope you really enjoyed and benefited from this instruction, and that you can take these concepts to the court and improve the performance of your forehand. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe, and click the link below to gain access to our free library of lessons on our website, where we reveal and present all the key elements of every stroke in the game that you need to master to improve your tennis, including your modern forehand. And while you're on the website, have a look around, We've got additional free lessons, we've got a VIP membership, and we have popular courses that are available for you as well. Thanks again, and we'll see you in the next video.